All right, so we should be back up now. Microphone system audio is on. Okay, everything is everything. I wonder if they could hear the music earlier then. Anyway, let's make sure that we're back on. Okay.
Y'all can still hear me, right?
Yeah, we got you. Yeah. All right, so we're back on now. All right, Phil, say something. Let's see if you can be heard now.
Something.
Can
Nancy
anybody hear Phil?
Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi for prison 2020.
All right.
Kamala
So
for prison.
All right, so
y'all
they
can
can
hear
hear
me?
you now.
So
they can hear you.
So that's what it took.
Okay.
You have to reset the software.
Yeah.
Something that
All right.
something that
Great.
is new.
Yeah, that's new.
That's new. So we're on the phone with Phil from Philly. That's why I was kind of giving him a little bit of grief for the 76ers, but that was
Nah, to be honest, this is just me, but it's probably a lot of people. I think Philly fans got a pretty good future with sports, so I'm pretty. We didn't win it this year, but I'll take a competitive football team and a competitive basketball team. I'll take it.
And a competitive baseball team too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't watch the Flyers. So I don't know what they're doing, but back to
All right, yeah. Floor is yours.
My question, because I was going to relate it to like police brutality and all that, and just the court system in general, the criminal justice. I was wondering, what do y'all think? I mean, besides just like voting for progressives in the Dem primary or voting in like for progressives in state and local races, like besides that, what do y'all think like voters or like just like besides like protesting, what do y'all think people can do to like get any type of change? Because like my thing is like people, reasonable people already probably have different ideas they would implement if they, if Bernie or whoever was in a position of power, or if they had like a progressive DA or whatever it was. But like I've debated this like this general topic with like not even just right wing people, but even like more like centrist type people, like that kind of eat up the corporate CNN, MSNBC type Democrats, and you can present like I've seen lawyers that weren't even super progressive, and they would just look at certain stats in the system and like studies where they control for like class and different things and record, so everything is equal, and there's still a crazy disparity based on the race. And then we already know with the police shootings, a lot of these people are actually complying, so that people, even I've even met, we all know that black person that says, oh, I never get pulled over because I don't sag my pants and this, that, the third, so why are y'all complaining? As if their anecdotal experience overrides all the empirical evidence we have. But my question is, what do y'all think? Because my thing is, I don't think debating people that are on the right wing or even in the center on this issue, I feel like the energy you have to put into it, you're fighting against so many biases. Because mind you, I'm an independent, so most people I argue with, I agree. I'm not like a Democratic loyalist. I'm not a partisan Democrat. So like a lot of times I'll be arguing with a Democrat and a Republican at the same time, and it's just me, and it's 2-on-1. Mm-hmm. But anyway, my point is just debating them and trying to change their minds. To me, it seems like a waste of time, because even when you get a person that knows this issue really well and can provide like just the stats, they're not just some flaming SJW. They're just like a reasonable person that wants change, like, and they know what they're talking about. Like they don't care. Like they don't. Like I'll say something so reasonable, and then I'll get called a socialist. And mind you, I'm like a regular like I guess like a social democrat type of person. I'm moderate, like internationally speaking. Like I'm not super crazy. Like I'm not a communist. I'm not an anarchist or
All right. Well, look.
Yeah.
So basically,
I think I just think that's not the route to do it. I think we have to, because it's crazy the amount of comments I see that are like just super pro police and super like it's just like nationalism mixed with like obviously some of it is anti-black bias. It's just
Social media is not the best way to. I guess change.
Yeah.
Social media. Look, because just like you, we've been through that. We still go through that time to time, but I think we learned the lesson from like 2015 to that. Because really, like on social media, I think I joined Facebook probably like 2011. I never really paid it too much attention until like 2015. And then 2015, that was when the Confederate flag came down from the State House in South Carolina. So I was on social media arguing with people a lot, trying to provide them with some facts. And then later, 2015, 2016, we're talking about the election. So that's when I got involved. And, a lot of times, you're not going to change minds. This is going to be a waste of time. So I totally agree with you on that. The better ways of doing things, for me, it's going to feel, or I think it can feel like it's useless as well, just not as useless. You can get involved with your local politics. You can get involved with rallies and marches. You can go to your congressperson. You can write letters. You can make phone calls. You can do a lot of these things. You can sign petitions. Again, like all of these things, I think move the needle. It's just that it's so hard to actually see the needle being moved because
that's
such
true.
an
That's
incremental
true.
process.
That's true.
Yeah, so I mean,
because I get emails of petitions, like petitions that I have signed, and there are some that actually are successful.
Yeah.
I'll get updates on like the person after they get out, and I'm like, oh wow, it actually like something, So I see what y'all saying, but you're getting bombarded with so much negative news. It's hard to keep up with the positive stuff that does happen. Yeah.
Right. And that's by design. That's by design. It's like the actions that one person can do. Again, it's not going to feel like much, but when enough people do make a lot of noise, change does happen.
And speaking, this is just real quick because this is like I hate debating people on the right. It's like people that are like the Blue Lives Matter people on this issue. I hate debating, but for the people out there, because the people listening, some of y'all may be into debating or whatever. If y'all are going to get into that, I would just really like pick apart their statistics and stuff. Because for one thing, like one simple thing I would say when they're like, oh, it's so many 50% of murders are by black people and they're only 13% of the population. Like that one stat alone, you can easily, and y'all too probably know this, but if there's 100,000 white people and 100,000 black people, like just as a random number, since that's, a typical stat they use, out of 100,000 people, for example, let's say in one group, the group of 100,000 white people, there's 20 white murderers. And then in the group of the 100,000 group of black people, there's 40 murderers, right? Technically speaking, yes, there's twice the amount of black murderers in the other group. But either way, that's less than, like, I don't even know what that is. That's
0.001 or some junk, yeah.
Yeah.
Something
so
really
like when so even the people who claim they're not racist, but they're still like using racist, like leaning type of like that perspective. Like even when they do use stats, they'll, like someone like me, that would never work on me. Like in mid conversation, I pointed it out to like, people that use that. But yeah, just in terms of actually, like all you'll get if you like the satisfaction of like beating someone in debate, you'll like it, I guess. But yeah, other than that, it's because these people, they're dug in, like they're like some people have this notion that it's just like Trumpists and stuff that are crazy, but there's a lot of college educated people in America, and it's like just debating these other people, it just lets me know just like nationalism and just this American centric like perspective. Just among other things, like obviously the like poor education, like there's so many different things that lead to this, but it's like
now social media is depressing. Social media is depressing.
Yeah.
Like if you spend too much time on it and you read through all these negative comments, like these people that it's like how could you have this like this idea, this perception, like how could this be your viewpoint? I see way too much of that to the point where it makes me feel like we're not going to get anything done. If this is humanity, oh man, we're not getting anything done. So, social media is not the best forum to, I guess, try to promote progress. I don't think so.
Nah, yeah, that's true. But that's I didn't really have too much for tonight. So
okay, well we appreciate
I guess I'll let the next caller go. Oh yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure.
All right, man.
Y'all take it easy.
You too.
Yeah, social media, man. It's a good forum to connect. Especially when you connect with people with similar ideas. You can actually even formulate a path. Like, hey, okay, well, we're gonna do this here. We're gonna do this. We can meet here. We can do. Yeah, I mean, it's good in some senses, but if you're trying to change minds,
well, see, social media doesn't like. The existence of it doesn't alter like someone's perception about the world.
No.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
It kind of makes them more extreme. Really.
It does. It does.
Because even though a lot of times they're not anonymous, they still would say things on social media that they probably would not say,
in somebody's face or in public.
No, they probably would not do that.
Their chest gets a little bigger on social media.
True. Yeah. Distance.
You know what I'm saying? Like old Benzino. Old Benny boy. He likes to poke his chest out. On social media. That's how he kind of, rose in fame.
Yeah.
All of the very titles of the videos that gets put out.
Right.
Ben Shapiro destroys.
I love that part where he questioned the journalist. He was like, "Well, whose titles are those? Those aren't my titles."
But yet,
use those titles.
Not only that, like, I guess the channels that uploaded titles like that are from his.
That's what I'm saying.
His media.
Either
like Daily Wire
or his personal channel.
Yeah. So I'm like,
all right, let's get to the next caller. That's 551 area code. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
We sure
Who
can.
is this?
This is Eli. He's from Jersey.
Eli from Jersey, man. What's going on with you?
Hey, so I am a high school student, currently a senior, and I have been talking to my English teacher in front. I'm a very vocal person in class, and we just, have like class discussions and such, and he's more center, Democrat, maybe even Republican. I'm not very sure. But he commonly, confronts me on things from the left because I'm more on the left like you guys. So I was wondering and I know he's going to bring up Medicare for all in the healthcare system tomorrow. And I was wondering if you guys could help me out with some, not like gaps, but some things I'm not really sure about for Medicare for all. And I was wondering if you guys had the answers.
Okay. Well, we could try. What's your questions?
Yeah. So, with the Medicare for all system, there's a bunch of people who work in the insurance, industry, like people who work for insurance. If we had a Medicare for all system, what would happen to those jobs? Do you guys know by any chance?
I don't know what would happen to those jobs. I don't think I've read into any Medicare for all proposals that deep that kind of explain what will happen to those people. I don't even know if it does. But probably doesn't. But there's going to be a lot of jobs created through Medicare expansion. Maybe that there's a pathway for those people to get jobs in that new system, because there's still going to be some administrative costs. They won't be as high as, let's say, the insurance industry, but there'll probably be I guess a lot of infrastructural changes and infrastructural transitions to where we would need like people doing certain jobs. Mm-hmm. I do think there can be some kind of transition.
The real I guess cause of concern that somebody would have if they're on the other side of that argument is about all of those jobs. What's going to happen to those people? Those people have families, they have mortgages, they have loans that they pay for. Like, what's going to happen? Honestly, like Mike said, we don't know. A lot of those people could be ass out. Like, in terms of that particular type of employment, they could be ass out. It could be gone. But we've had situations like that occur throughout the course of history.
Where things that are obsolete.
Yes.
Things become obsolete.
Of course.
Like when society progresses, there are certain things that become obsolete. And
this is because healthcare should be a right. It is a right? So if we're going to set up a system where we're going to ensure that everybody is covered in the United States of America, that's a good thing to have here. That's a good thing because then, like, you would think that, quality of healthcare would be better. You would think that costs, of course, would be lowered. You would think that not as many people will be sick and will be dying because of it, because of a lack of healthcare. It's a good situation to have. So the adverse effect of people leaving that industry and having to find a job elsewhere, that might be difficult for them. And I feel for them that they're in that line of work that might be just gone. But, like we're saying, I mean, that's been a customary thing throughout the course of history. It's just, that's just.
Whether it be with jobs or products.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, everybody knows about either Netflix or
like Blockbuster.
Blockbuster is virtually gone.
Taxi services and the transportation industry has changed because of the the influx of rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft.
I remember living in New York and how many taxis were there. And the whole industry now of the rideshare is, come on, man. Of course it's had an effect on taxis.
There's definitely a lot of manufacturing industries that get affected due to social technological process, like I'm pretty like the cotton gin or something like that, or like one of those like machines that I guess like churn butter or something,
right?
Or like grind wheat, and you know what I'm saying, certain things like that.
See, and this is why, and I mean, just this is kind of going to something else, but this is why, if we want to promote a nation, an economy, if we want to promote a society that has the best of the best, because we, oftentimes the United States claims to be the best of the best, the freest, the most innovative, whatever, then we should really invest in our kids so that they have the best education of anywhere on earth, so that when they get to the workplace, they can actually be innovators, they can be job creators, they can make this economy better than what it is right now, not having to rely on the private healthcare industry that doesn't really suit anybody well.
Like it's like a good example of products we do no longer use anymore, and the industry that manufactured the product probably suffered is asbestos.
Oh man, yes, yeah.
It affected a lot of people's jobs, didn't it?
Of course it did. All right, so you have any other questions, maybe, or any follow up?
Yeah, there's this other question that honestly stumps me sometimes. So I got this from Bernie Sanders. We would pay, like, instead of having to pay upfront costs, like every time you go to the doctor's office, you would pay it through our taxes. Is it the same rate for everybody? Like, is it the same percent for everybody?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
I mean, just like taxes, I mean, it's progressive. It's a progressive tax. And he has stated that before, too. The wealthier you are, the higher you will be taxed. Yeah.
And then of course, the system will be supplemented by, I guess, corporations paying their fair share as well.
Actually paying their fair share. Right.
So I feel like a lot of people would have the perspective of, let's say they don't go to the doctor that much, and they would have to pay these, they would have an increase in their taxes, even though they don't go. Let's say they don't go to the doctors that much. what would you say to those people that say, why are we going to pay for other people's care?
I don't have kids.
Exactly.
I don't have kids.
I knew you were going there.
But am I mad that I got to pay property taxes?
Right.
We're part of a community. We're part of a
community.
community.
All of that. What if I don't use those roads?
What if I don't use those roads? That's the next thing I was going to. We already do that. We already pay for things we do not use. We already pay for things that other people in the community utilize. That's such a bad argument because we have countless examples.
How many times you go to the museum?
Weird. I do go to the museum.
Last time I tried to go, it was already damn closed. I'm mad as hell, dog.
I have kids, so I go.
That's like the prime example is education. There's millions and millions of people pay property taxes and do not have kids in school.
Hell yeah.
But the kids in their community benefit from going to school and getting an education, in turn benefiting their community and the world. That's the way I see it. I'm not gonna get mad and be.
So why don't we hear uproar about that then?
I'm paying for your kids' education. Like you are. That's such a.
Nobody says that.
Yeah, here's a good point. I'm just around my area.
We know where you come from.
We know where you come from, man.
These are just conversations that we've consistently had over the years.
Yeah, because it's kind of daily now with my teacher that it's kind of turning into a screaming match because he's kind of where the other caller was describing. He's kind of on the other side of the fence where he doesn't believe in white privilege and that just kind of boggles my mind. So he's been kind of testing me on everything because we like it's not to the point where we get really angry. It's just that I want to be able to articulate my opinions without looking like a joke.
Yeah.
And look, and to be honest, that can be challenging for somebody
in high school.
That's in high school, having a conversation with an adult. How old do you think he is?
He's definitely like 50 around there.
Okay, so he's probably had these conversations multiple times over the years, and he's talking to a kid, somebody that's in high school,
somebody thinks
about some real matters.
That he has authority over this kid. He probably, or you, and he thinks he knows more than you simply because of his age and the fact that he's a qualified teacher.
And that's not to say anything about your ability or inability to really have in-depth conversations. It's just when you're talking to somebody of your age, it's not. It's not
the same. Yeah, we're not on equal footing.
It's not standard. It's not expected that you would be able to have that conversation.
Yeah, I get that. Well, thank you guys so much for answering. That's pretty much all I had. So.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you calling in, Eli.
Calling, man. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you. See you.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's the first caller we had that was in high school.
Yeah, that was a good call too.
And teachers have probably a handful now, because social media
that is the good thing about social media.
Social media, was not like it didn't exist back then. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of more informed high schoolers.
Yeah. And see, I have run into a few of them on social media. I remember back in, like I said, when I first got started really like mixing it up on social media, was around like the Confederate flag argument.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a few. One in particular, it was a girl that I believe she was 16 or 17 at the time. And I remember like some of the he was in a thread and she was responding, and I was like, damn, yo, she is coming with the fire and knowledge, right? So I'm expecting this to be like an adult. She's 16 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, man, she's going to be on fire when she's an adult,
information at your fingertips. Like, I do think, it works both ways, and it does have the potential to corrupt people. Information being shared so fast has the potential to corrupt people just as fast
as it can inform
them. So I understand that's the drawback, but like you said, I've experienced situations where I was like, dang, this mug is
very impressive, man.
Yeah, and I'm like, I like that because
like we were aware, like just speaking for me, of course I was aware at that age, 16, 17, I was aware of what was going on, and if you asked me to explain it though, man, I don't know that I could have came off the same way as some of these kids are. Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think Well, I think I know that
I probably knew how I felt, but to articulate
it, definitely. Because I find myself in situations defending a position with a teacher at a young age. One situation that comes to mind is when I think I was in 6th grade. I think I told you about this before. I don't know how this became a topic of conversation, and quite honestly, I don't think it should have been. Because we were like 11 years old, and the teacher at the time was in her 30s, I guess. And the whole Rodney King incident was going down at that time. And maybe it became a topic because maybe a kid had a question. My mommy said this, or my daddy said this. You know how kids are.
Right.
So maybe the teacher tried to address it, because it was asked. I can't remember how the conversation got initiated, but my teacher, was, said things that you would hear on Fox News. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, he was under the influence of drugs. They had to hit him that many times. Like, he got hit like 119 times. They had to beat him like that. You know what I'm saying? And I was actually 11 years old trying to argue with a teacher 20 years older than me about a situation involving someone that objectively looked like they had given up and was still being beaten. So, like, my eyes weren't deceiving me at 11, but her being in her 30s, she still maintained this need to always defend who she sees as authority figures, because then they were beating up a bad guy. And I was just like flabbergasted. So I experienced at a young age that, man, these authority figures that kind of are over us don't have common sense simply because they have authority figures or they're qualified to do a job as a professional. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that just eye-opening.
The only thing that I remember from like that young age of me like kind of challenging authority was it was right after I came here from New York. And again, okay, so I'm from the North, come here to South Carolina, right? And I remember there was a teacher that I was leaving class or something, going to another class, I can't remember. And she told me something. This was many years ago. I can't remember what she told me. And I said something like, okay, Miss Brown. I don't even remember her last name. And she was like, what? I was like, I said, yeah. I said, yes. Yeah, okay. And she was like, what? And I was like, yes. And she was like, yes, ma'am. I said, yes. In my head, I'm like, yes, ma'am. I was like, I said yes. I didn't say that. I said yes. And she's right there in the hall trying to force me to say yes, ma'am to her. She said, no, yes, ma'am. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I just left.
That just seems so...
beating you into submission.
That just seems something like that so inconsequential to showing someone actual respect.
Yeah.
That's just more of like a regional thing.
Yep.
And it doesn't necessarily mean someone respects you more or less.
No.
It's something formal. That's it. It's formal. And
it doesn't mean anything.
But
I mean, in the South, it has a meaning because that's, again, I wasn't from the South. I just came here from New York. And so hearing that, like, I think when I was moving here, I remember like being still in New York, joking around with my friends. They'd be like, they'd be like, y'all, and they'd be like, yeah, ma'am, and and all that. I'm like, hell no, I ain't gonna do none of that.
Do none of that.
I'm not doing any of that, And so when I finally heard it, and somebody was trying to force me to say it, I was like, oh no, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't, I can't do that.
You pretty much affected her sense of comfort.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? She just wasn't even comfortable with not being called something that is...
It wasn't attitude. It wasn't my tone.
And see that... And
disrespect or anything like that. It was just a word.
What does that tell you? Like, these little, like, cultural colloquialisms matter more than actual substance. Because what matters more is, like you said, your tone and the respect you show or display through your tone rather than using some term like ma'am. Like
that... No, I'm sorry. I still hate that term. I still hate it. I've never used it.
You got to make her feel like we're living in a civilized society. Will, you got to say ma'am.
When I used to work at Blue Cross back in the day. I was in my early 20s, and there was an older woman that worked there as well. I'm not even gonna say her name, but everybody would call her like I was about to say her real name, like Miss Emily.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are we calling her Miss Emily? That sounds stupid, man. I'm like, I'm not calling her Miss Emily.
It's like
I'd be like, Emily,
it's almost
I need
like,
those papers.
It's almost like you almost sound like you're in kindergarten. That's what you do when you're like.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. So whenever I called her name, it was first name. That's it. I did not put the Miss on there. I refused. No, man, I'm not.
But again, because it didn't feel natural to you. I've never kind of engaged in activity or behavior that didn't feel natural to me, or I guess used words or slang terminology that didn't come natural to me. I never do that either.
And that is forced upon you.
Hell no.
It's like I'm gonna be even more resistant to it now.
Oh hell yeah! Like I never used the word like bananas. Remember how that became a thing? Yo man, I went to this party, man, with bananas. I'm like, yo, first of all, it's too long. Slang words, that's just too long.
Oh snap, man.
That's like 3 syllables, bro. Like, make it quick. I'm definitely not saying it now because it's too long of a word. I mean, that was bananas. Don't say that. I don't use the phrase on fleek. Never use that shit. Doesn't feel right coming out my mouth.
I had opposition to most saying what it do.
What it do?
I never said that.
Nah, if it's a part of lyrics, maybe, but it's just
and if it's a regular part of my speech.
If it comes off naturally, cool. But there's some words and some phrases that don't come off naturally. I may pick them up if maybe the people I'm hanging around uses them.
True.
Possibly.
True.
But if not,
of course that happens.
Of course that happens. But of course, I'm not.
But there's gonna be some where it's
like
like
go out of my way to insert some slang terminology or any kind of terminology.
Just because it's like socially like cool right now.
Yeah, it's some are easier than others. Like we say, boy, please. That's very easy. It makes sense. You can fit that in. Boy, please.
Yeah, that's natural. That's natural.
We
still have language that goes back to high school.
Yeah. And sometimes it's funny, like to bring the language back up just to be funny. Like
jive turkey.
Yeah. Jive turkey.
I tried. Give me
5 on the back end. You know what I'm saying? Like what?
I tried to insert that into my language before. It just never worked, man.
Works.
I would be calling people jive turkeys, but it never stuck. It never took, man.
It doesn't fit because I think even like I don't think language hasn't changed, but just kind of like the tone of language has changed. So some of the things just don't fit. Jive turkey.
That doesn't fit.
Remember what we used to call getting blocked back in
packed?
Yeah. Man, you got packed.
Or baptized?
Baptized, yeah. Man, you got packed.
But packed. Yo, I haven't heard that.
Packed. You got
at
packed.
Least like 2 decades or so, man.
Or like, like there's new slang terms of like sports. I'll stay on sports. Like when somebody like back in the day was like, oh, you got hops.
Yep.
You got hops. Now it's like you got bunnies.
But my niece.
Bunnies.
My niece. I'm over there. We in the gym. For some reason, we were we were at my daughter's school. We were in the gymnasium. She was there, and like right there at the hoop, and she's like, "Yeah, Uncle Will, we ain't got no bunnies." I was like, "Bunnies? You ain't got no bunnies, man. We hops, okay."
And here's the thing, like most of the time, older people would hate either way. It's like when like the next generation comes up with their own slang terms, we hating. Yeah. But if then they use the same slang terms, we be hating too. They get your own. So I was like,
I don't mind that.
I'm one of those people that's like, I understand that. Okay, y'all got y'alls, we had ours. I'm not gonna use y'alls, but I'm not gonna be like hate on like the little slang terms y'all use because whatever we use, our parents thought was stupid too. You know what I'm saying? I don't get into the generational supremacy stuff, man. I don't get into this I hate it. I hate this generational supremacy stuff, man. Especially especially in regard to dances.
Yeah.
Like we did like especially 80s and 90s babies, particularly 80s babies can be very self-righteous in regard to music and dancing. Like, oh, y'all got all these stupid dances now. Man, when Soulja Boy came out, why y'all dancing? Crank that this and crank that this. And, you got, the nay-nay, the whip.
Dog.
You got like the Millie Rock, you got the Quan, you got all these dances like that have come in the last like decade, and you got 80s babies hating on it. I'm like,
yo, y'all had the snake.
We had the snake. We had the Reebok. Like we coming up in the 90s, you
Cabbage
got Cabbage Patch.
Yeah.
You got like we were doing like the Tootsie Roll, the Bankhead Bounce. We were just doing stupid dances too, but all of a sudden when the next generation comes along, people 10, 15 years younger to you, all of a sudden you're judging their dances. And you're probably judging them because you can't do them. That's probably why they're more elaborate. And like, it's even more whack is like older people still have their dances that they do currently. Yeah. Like the cha-cha slide.
Oh my gosh, that would never.
You got, remember
that would never end, man.
The step. What is it? The step? What is it called? The step with R. Kelly?
Step in the Name of Love. I don't know if it's called
you got
something.
The wobble. You still got electric slide. Like, they still currently do those dances. So you have no grounds to criticize any generation for having to dance for a particular song.
But they come up with new stuff too, though. I mean, like even like this '80s generation or whatever like that. What about like what was it? Charleston. Not the slide, right? Charleston,
I know what you're talking about.
Something I can't even remember what it's called now. The Charleston.
I had to bring my mom out because she said she was talking. My mom liked to talk trash, and I guess I was dancing. I guess when I was like I don't know, I was like a teenager and she was talking trash.
Shuffle.
Right? The shuffle.
Yeah,
like she was talking, we were talking. Mom was talking trash. I guess because I was dancing and she was talking. Oh, you kids got these dances nowadays and stuff. That typical old person. You got all these dances y'all do. And I was like, and she was talking about why does like the song have to be about a dance and the dance is about a song? That don't make no sense. I was like, are you serious? You had to twist. The song was called the twist.
Yes.
You had all these. You had the. You know what I'm saying? You had all these damn dances in the 50s and 60s, and before then.
Yeah.
Specifically dances that tied to a song. They had specific dances. I'm like, you think the next generation is just ridiculous for having dances? I just hate this generational supremacy. You did the same exact thing. The exact same thing. You just mad because your shit ain't trendy, or you can't do the dances. And they dance better. Sorry. They do.
It's more complex.
It's more complex. And I'm sorry, like the mugs nowadays are dancing better than we were. And they can dance better. That's how, exactly. We did two-step. Remember that, the snap?
Yeah.
Or like, what was that? Kia, Kane Wayne with it?
Oh, yeah.
Kane Wayne with it. I'm like, they have better dances and the kids can dance better nowadays. Just let it go. Like just let it go. They're
generational supremacy.
Generational supremacy. They are better than you, and they're supposed to be. If I had kids and they didn't do shit that was better than me, I say I was a failure. You're supposed to dance better than me. You're supposed to read. You're supposed to do everything better than me. Everything. You're supposed to do everything better than me. Otherwise, why the hell did I have you? I want you to dance better than me. You're supposed to build on what we did. You ain't supposed to do better than me. What is that? Like it's like
you have some strong convictions.
Yeah, because I almost feel like it's like why wouldn't you want the next generation to do better things? It's almost like it just sounds like you're bitter. Like
it's hating. It's hating.
They're better. They're better. They can dance better. It's supposed to.
Yeah. All right, man. I think we about to wrap this thing up. Boomers are the worst. Some people still talking about healthcare. I saw some conversation about what did I say? I think I saw some conversation about Mitch McConnell. What else we have in the chat?
Got some super chats.
Oh yeah, got some super chat. Jordan Faye. Can't believe I missed the whole show because I had to work late. 46 watching, 15 likes. Hit the like button, please. That's what I'm talking about, Jordan.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
Hit that like button, man.
Boy, he made that his job.
I'm saying, man.
There was another super chat.
Yeah, but that was in the
That was on
stream.
The last stream. I can't remember what it was because we had to start the stream over.
Right.
But during the next show, we'll
shout you out.
We'll
and I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I think we have a new patron on patreon.com that I wanted to highlight. Let's just bring this up here. Yes. All right. So our new patron is 10B2. That's the profile name.
That's the profile name.
10B2.
Very futuristic.
Yeah. It.
Like some, you know what I'm saying?
It is. There's even a picture, which is like a negative image. Yeah. So, hey, That's on you, man. That profile name. It must mean something.
It must mean something.
It must mean something.
Yeah.
We maybe we'll be privy to that at some point. But we appreciate you. Thank you for supporting us, definitely monetarily. If any of you would love to or like to become a patron of ours, it's simple. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/LTMB, and process is very simple. So we appreciate the action before it even happens. But I think that's all I got. It's the weekend coming.
I'm not really sure what I'm gonna be doing.
Last weekend it was, of course, Mother's Day, so I hope everybody had a good Mother's Day. All the mothers out there.
True that.
Hope that you had a good one.
I guess the only advice I have is maybe directed towards Ben Shapiro, and that's
Benzino again.
Benzino, don't put yourself out there like that again, bro. Don't put yourself out there like that, dog.
You see how he apologized on Twitter afterwards?
He's whack. He's whack. He's dishonest, and he's not worthy of debate for anybody.
He definitely is.
That's one of those people that is, because he's in it. He's not an honest actor, and he's actually has said that with his own mouth. He doesn't really want to talk about it. He just wants to win the debate. His objective is to just make the other side look stupid, and he does that by, offering false narratives, straw mans, and just outright lying, and clogging up the conversations with deflections.
Right.
What he actually did on the BBC with somebody he actually probably agrees with on a lot of issues.
Called him a leftist. This is why it would have been a horrible idea for Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to actually debate him, in which she did not. But everybody was like, well, why is she running away from it? He's a relevant person. He's a relevant political commentator. He has a platform. She should go on his channel. She should go on his. She should talk to him. No, she didn't give him the time of day.
He basically proved her point.
Yep.
Proved that he wasn't an honest actor.
Yep.
And he went on that show, and I think it was with Andrew Neil, kind of illustrated to him how, he himself is a contradiction to the book he wrote. Because everything is about, what he does? He does exactly what cops do. When I was talking about benevolent harassment, he kind of talks
very calm,
sometimes calmly when he's not triggered. Then he sounds like an auctioneer.
He does.
It's like an auctioneer combined with Porky Pig.
Yeah. I wouldn't have put those two together.
But yeah, he does that same thing. So he talks about civility and honest conversations and saying logic all over and over again to make it seem like he's being reasonable, and he's saying the most vile things. That's what he does. And I like what Andrew Neil did by first bringing up his old tweets, bringing up some of the things he wrote. And Ben Shapiro was triggered by that. Because his
own writings.
It's like the premise behind his whole book surrounds the conversation and the discourse being toxic. And the purpose of Andrew Neil bringing up Ben Shapiro's old writings and his old tweets is to illustrate how Ben himself has contributed to building up the toxic environment of I guess when we're talking about discourse and conversation, it's him. So he's basically the antithesis to his own premise, and he doesn't even realize it. But he's just worried about making a buck. So we got another super chat that just came in.
True. That is from Carne Verde. Thanks always, Will and Mike. We appreciate you watching the show, and thank you for that contribution as well, man. Very much appreciated. I said, man. That's just a part of my language, especially when I don't know if you're a dude. If you're not, I have no idea. I just say that. But we appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Hope that everybody liked the show tonight. Again, we apologize for being absent on Tuesday, but we should be back on the next Tuesday with many more stories to cover. I think we pretty much got to everything that we wanted to talk about. The weekend's coming. Don't know what's coming this weekend. Usually something always happens on Friday. We always say that. And that's
hopefully we won't be involved in a war of some sort.
Yeah. Some some just like surprise war that we just get ourselves into because, you know, Iran is a threat, and we have to make sure that they don't attack us
by going over there.
Right. Wasn't I mean, this is of course not the same thing. But wasn't there like this really big reaction towards like Russia?
Oh, you mean like the doomsday clock?
Yeah.
That certain, you know, journalists.
No,
like,
I'm talking about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Remember back in the day?
Oh yeah.
Because about the whole Russia and Cuba thing.
Russia and Cuba.
And the U.S., you know, had to make a decision. You know, they were thinking about bombing them and shit like that and all that. Of course, this is not the same situation, but it's just the fact that, you know, another country was coming over close to us, and that was perceived as a threat. If we go over there, you know, I'm just speculating.
I think it would
not the same situation, but I'm just saying.
You're right. It would be logical for Iran to see that as like provocations, like the United States flexing.
But then we're gonna blame it on Iran if anything happens.
I think that's the goal. Like if Iran sneezes, it's on. They already tried to pull some like some sort of false flag bullshit, like some ship got attacked, but they don't even have any evidence.
Right.
I'm like, they're just bad at it.
Well, that's what you get when you put people like John Bolton in the administration and
Pompeo.
Yeah, that's what you get. And to have somebody like Trump there as well, because if you believe that Trump is honestly like opposed to military action
or ridiculous regime change.
Oh, please. No.
Because he's in full support of overthrowing Maduro.
Uh-huh. Hasn't he said things like we should just go over there and bomb the place, take the oil?
Take the oil.
Take the oil.
Yeah, he said that. Yeah.
Take the oil.
Guess people didn't hear that part.
No. He's a peace activist. He's a peace activist. We should leave with that right there.
Yes.
All right.
That truth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Had to put some truth out there before we could leave off. Mm-hmm. Had to put some truth out there. All right, everybody. Again, we appreciate you watching the stream. Please come back next week on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, take care. Peace out.